Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. I want to talk about abstractions. There's a bit of a concern from a viewer sent me a message asking me to talk a little bit about why Ayn Rand said they don't exist. Now, this viewer misunderstands a little bit. He's concerned, why would Ayn Rand be so against abstractions? She's not against them at all. She just says they don't exist. And so let's talk about that a little bit. Now, let me put on the table, first of all, an extremely old view that says they do exist. That's Plato and his cave. Plato's cave and his world of forms. Won't take a minute. Plato says that we live in a dark cave, and that before we were born up in heaven, our mind knew all the perfect things, and now here we are on earth, and everything on earth is less perfect. There was only one chair in heaven, and it was the perfect chair. So every chair that we have down here on earth is an imperfect, a fuzzy representation. We might have some very nice chairs, but they're not perfect, not like the one up in heaven. Same with the idea of justice. There was one justice up in heaven, and down here on earth we can see justice being carried out in this way, and this way, and this way. And usually imperfect. Usually the stuff that happens on earth isn't perfect. That was Plato's point. And these things, these ideas, these abstractions, as Ayn Rand would call them, Plato called them the form of the good, the form of justice, the form of a chair, the form of a knife or a sword. Everything had a perfect form in heaven, and they're just fuzzy representations down here. And he compares it, if you let one of us out of the cave, we'll go out into the daylight, like going up into heaven, and you wouldn't understand what was going on. You're so used to the dark fuzz. And then the thinkers and stuff who can grasp that are called philosophers, and they're supposed to be able to run society. Or they should, according to Plato, run society. Anyways, back to abstractions. Do they exist or not? Plato says they do, all up in heaven. And everything on earth is a fuzzy representation. Ayn Rand says abstractions don't exist. Well, let's concretize this, shall we? What is an abstraction? Well, an abstraction that Ayn Rand would say that doesn't exist is an economy. There's no such thing as an economy. You can't say my economy has a flat tire, you know. An economy, it doesn't exist. The only thing that exists, I'll give you the example when I was trying to teach the word economy to the kids here in my school from ages 8 to 11. And I said, there isn't such thing as an economy, there are only the things inside of an economy. I said, the economy of Millard County produces cement from the cement plant, lime from the lime plant, power from the coal-fired power plant, beryllium from the Brushwellman beryllium plant, cheese from the cheese plant, mushrooms from the mushroom growing caves, and some other stuff. Alfalfa, beef, corn, kids, name these things. I didn't put kids in there, but these things that have a monetary value are part of the economy. And I said, that's what, when I say the economy of Delta is doing good or doing well, that means that there's a lot of production going on. If I say the economy in Delta is doing badly, that doesn't mean that the economy is sitting on the stool all depressed or something. That means that they've shut down a cement plant or something. Economies don't exist. The only thing that exists are the details of what's in the economy. This is always true with abstractions. Every abstraction is like this. For example, the abstraction of beauty. There's no such thing as beauty. It's not sitting anywhere. There are only things which are beautiful, things which the arrangement of their components gives us some sort of pleasure. Abstractions never could be said to exist unless you're going to go Plato's way and say they exist in some perfect form or heaven or something. I mean, what kind of abstraction would you say does exist? There's no abstraction such as war. War doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is men shooting at each other. But when you have a lot of men trying to kill each other, and it goes on for days at least, and years possibly, and they are doing it over territory, and it is an organization of governments behind it, then, when those things obtain, then the men shooting at each other becomes a war. So, abstractions don't exist. The only thing that exists are concretes. You can have all of the concretes in your mind. For example, the students in my class knew what a cement plant made. They knew what the cheese factory makes. They know what they make at IPP power plant. They know what Brush Wellman makes because I taught them about beryllium. But they didn't know what an economy was. Because abstractions don't exist. You can't just look at it and learn what that is. You have to know a lot of small details first. Abstractions are nothing more than correct or incorrect sometimes organizations in your mind. That's all an abstraction is an organization in your mind. So I have a quick line from Posterior Analytics by Aristotle. We're about 10 pages in, 8 pages in to book 1. Before a student, before he was led on to recognition, or before he actually drew a conclusion, we should perhaps say that in a manner he knew, in a manner not. In a manner this guy knew what an economy was, because he had all the concretes. But in another way, he had never organized it and given it a name. Now that's all an abstraction is to organize information, concrete information from reality that you get through the 5 senses. So I think that answers all of our concerns about abstractions. They don't exist and they're very useful. How odd.